Real quick, before we get started, thank you, everyone. Governor DeSantis, I want to present to you this participation trophy. Now, probably not going to win the election, right? But we're proud of you for trying.
I don't do participation trophy. Sorry, buddy.
No, but, I mean,
sorry, buddy. Sorry.
He's special, he's unique, and he's our little snowflake. Thank you. Here you go. Did you want the award? We're so proud to see you.
Alright guys, so we're going to have fun in this video because I'm assuming that a lot of you guys are probably wondering what my opinion is on this situation involving Trump and Vivek Ramaswamy. Now, if you don't know what happened, Trump has essentially turned on Vivek and he is now attacking Vivek heading into the Iowa caucus. Now, with Iowa caucus being basically a day or two away, it seems as if Vivek is poised to overperform in the state because apparently the polls in that state are rigged because they're not accurately accounting for Vivek when they ask voters who they want to vote for.
All right, he was one of Governor Ron DeSantis' first Iowa supporters back in May. But just days to go before the first in the nation caucuses, and one prominent Iowa Republican is switching, and he's now endorsing Vivek Ramaswamy.
I've done a lot of soul searching in the last few weeks, and my conscience compels me to announce that this United States Marine will not miss this 1776 moment. I am supporting Vivek Ramaswamy for president.
Here to explain his switch of support is Iowa State Representative Stephen Holt. Stephen, thanks for being here. In preparing for this, it sounds like you agonized over this decision, tough one to make. Why did you make the switch?
Thank you for having me, and I did agonize over it for several weeks, and it was a matter of conscience for me. Look, it has nothing to do with Governor DeSantis and everything to do with the message of Vivek Ramaswamy. Look, he's correctly identified. I think we all know it. It's not morning in America right now. We have some very serious problems, and I think he has articulated that in a way that really resonated with me, and he's articulated solutions. I would also say that having followed him on the campaign trail across Iowa and all of his hard work, he's one of the greatest communicators that I have seen since President Ronald Reagan. I spent 20 years in the Marine Corps during the presidency of Ronald Reagan. Part of those years, I think Vivek Ramaswamy's ability to communicate with people, to inspire people, is amazing. I've seen him do it with young people. I've seen him do it with crowds. I've seen him do it with protesters. It's just incredible. The other thing I would say, and the reason I think he's going to blow away expectations tonight, is that he's the only candidate who is willing to call out a huge issue that's going on in Iowa for my constituents, which is they're trying to build a CO2 pipeline across Iowa. A pipeline company is, and they're gonna try to use eminent domain to seize the private property of my landowners. And Vivek is the only one who has really brought attention to this issue in a huge way, and I think it's resonating with Iowans, and I think we're going to see that tonight.
You say you think it's resonating with Iowans. So far, the polls haven't reflected that much at all. Here's the most recent Iowa poll. I mean, Trump's where Trump's been with a big lead. But that Ramaswamy number, and DeSantis and Haley have sort of swapped, has stayed about there. Do you think he has a chance to surpass DeSantis or Haley on caucus night? I
don't believe those polls, because the number of people that have told me that the poll, they get this poll and they're asked, who do you support, Trump, DeSantis, or Haley, and they don't even have Vivek on the poll. And they say, well, I'm supporting Vivek, and the response is, well, he's not on the poll. If you had to support these others, who would it be? That's who I've heard. That's what I've heard from a lot of my constituents. So I don't believe the polls. Iowa has delivered surprises before, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that. Now, with Vivek holding more campaign events in Iowa than all of the candidates combined, plus some. I mean, the guy has literally been campaigning in gas stations and holding events across the state in a blizzard. It is expected that Vivek is probably going to overperform in the Iowa caucus come this Monday. And with that being said, I put this tweet out here just yesterday. So again, this is before all the drama kicked off, because you guys know, right, I'm really in touch with his political stuff. So I kind of saw this coming, right? What we're going to talk about in this video, which is if Vivek overperforms in Iowa, things are going to get crazy between Vivek supporters and Trump supporters. Now, lo and behold, today, Trump puts out this truth attacking Vivek. Okay, so let's go ahead and read this truth from Trump. Vivek started his campaign as a great supporter, quote, the best president in generation, etc. Unfortunately, now all he does is disguise his support in the form of deceitful campaign tricks. Very sly, but a vote for Vivek is a vote for the other side. Don't get duped by this. Vote for Trump. Don't waste your vote. Vivek is not MAGA. The Biden indictments against his political opponent will never be allowed in this country. They are already beginning to fall. MAGA. Now, what is Trump responding to? Well, Trump is responding to a picture that Vivek posted on his Twitter, his X, where he is taking a picture with a bunch of Vivek supporters that have the shirt, Save Trump, Vote Vivek. Now, I want to say this off the bat, okay? These shirts are not available for sale on his campaign website, okay? So I don't think that Vivek is actually selling these shirts, okay? These may have been shirts that these boys made themselves, right? I have no clue. As far as I know, he's not selling the shirts. I could be wrong about that. But that is what Trump is responding to, okay? Which is apparently the campaign strategy that Vivek is using, right, to convert Trump supporters to Vivek supporters by essentially arguing that the plot by the establishment to take out Trump is going to happen. And because of that, the only way to save Trump is by voting for Vivek, okay? And let's listen to Vivek kind of explain this strategy.
Here's the hard truth, and nobody seems to want to acknowledge it, but it's what's happening in plain sight. And I'm going to ask you to open your eyes. They want to narrow this down to a two-horse race between Donald Trump and Nikki Haley, a puppet who they can control. Then they want to eliminate Donald Trump this spring or whenever it is and trot their puppet into the White House. It's hiding in plain sight. We're not going to look back a year from now and say, oh, we were shocked that happened. I think we're going to look back a year from now and say, how could we not see that happening when every clue was hiding in plain sight? They're selling us the rope today that they're going to use to hang us tomorrow. And we have an obligation to this country to make sure that doesn't happen. I'm in this race because we have a duty to this country and the America First movement to make sure this lives on no matter what. It didn't start in 2016. It started in 1776. And the system has made clear they're going to now stop at nothing, and I mean nothing, to keep Donald J. Trump out of office. I have pushed back against this at every step. I've filed FOIA demands against the Biden administration. What did Biden and Merrick Garland tell Jack Smith in those federal prosecutions? This week, I filed a Supreme Court brief laying out what I view as the best legal arguments that the Supreme Court does need to hear in order to overturn Colorado's disastrous ruling. I've pushed back against this at every step. I'm the only candidate who has said I would remove myself from Maine and Colorado's ballots if they eliminate Trump. And I've called on every other Republican to do the same thing because that's how we protect ourselves against this election interference. But at a certain point, we have to open our eyes and see the hard truth. And yes, our duty is to this country. And so all I'm asking is to open your eyes, see the plot. It's staring us in the face. It's a hard pill to swallow, but sometimes the truth hurts and we have to open our eyes to see it.
Yeah, so you see now you heard that. Now, whether or not this is a deceitful, cheap campaign trick depends on whether or not you believe that the establishment is going to allow Trump to actually become president, right? Because the reality is that if Trump doesn't become president, he's probably going to go to prison. And there is reason to believe that at least one of these politically motivated prosecutions will turn out to have a conviction against Trump, which will affect his ability to get elected if people actually do care about the convictions. That remains to be seen. You also still have the Supreme Court and their decision regarding Trump being immune to federal prosecution, and whether or not the Supreme Court is actually going to allow states to ban him from the ballot. So there's a lot of wild cards and questions in regards to whether or not Trump will even be allowed to be president. But regardless, even if, let's just say he overcomes all that stuff and he is the GOP nominee, which, you know, could happen. I think a lot of people in the race, Ron DeSantis, Nikki Haley, everybody in the race basically is banking on Trump dropping out or not being able to be the nominee. That's why they're in the race in the first place. But regardless, if he actually is the nominee, if he doesn't beat Biden, and he's convicted, then he's definitely going to prison, okay? But with that being said, again, Trump's best hope of not going to prison is to become president of the United States, or for somebody to become president of the United States that can save him, right? Now, a lot of Trump supporters online are getting offended by this framing that Trump needs to be saved. But again, I mean, if you believe that there's a good chance that he could be convicted or that they're going to stop him from becoming president somehow, then he most definitely will need saving, okay? Now, if you don't believe that, then, hey, yeah, it's a cheap campaign trick. And, hey, Trump justifiably could be annoyed by the campaign trick, but does that necessarily mean that it will work in regards to Vivek being able to be competitive with Trump in the GOP primary? Probably not, okay? That's if you believe the polls. But then again, Trump attacking Vivek could be indications that maybe in their internal polling, they have reasons to believe that Vivek is an actual real threat. Now, Vivek has actually responded to Trump, and this is what he says, okay? I'm going to read this, and then I'm going to analyze this situation and tell you guys what I think about it. So let's get into it. Yes, I saw President Trump's Truth Social post. It is an unfortunate move by his campaign advisors. I don't think friendly fire is helpful. Donald Trump was the greatest president of the 21st century, and I'm not going to criticize him in response to this late attack. I've met tens and thousands of Iowans across 390 plus events here, and they are deeply worried, and so am I, that this system won't allow Donald J. Trump anywhere near the White House again. It seems they will stop at nothing to keep him away from power. I'm worried for Trump. I'm worried for our country. I've stood up against the persecutions against Trump, and I've defended him at every step. I showed up at the Miami courthouse in solidarity following his first federal indictment. I filed a FOIA demand to the Biden DOJ. I submitted an amicus brief this week with the U.S. Supreme Court calling on them to overturn Colorado's ruling. I pledged to remove myself from Maine's and Colorado's primary ballots if they remove Trump, calling on DeSantis and Haley to do the same. But we have to open our eyes. Last time it was a man-made pandemic and big tech election interference. Now the same billionaires funding the lawsuits against Trump are the ones trying to prop up Nikki Haley. The same MSN blasting Trump is lavishing praise on Nikki. They want to narrow this to a two-horse race between Trump and Haley, eliminate Trump one way or other, and trot their puppet into the White House. We can't fall for that trap. 1 year from now, we won't look back and say we were shocked that it happened. We'll kick ourselves for not stopping it. Our movement must live on. America First didn't start in 2016. It started in 1776. We owe it to our founding fathers to do the right thing for our country. I want to save Trump and to save this country. Let's do it together. You won't hear any friendly fire from me. Now, again, this is a fascinating response from Vivek Ramaswamy because it is the exact type of response that I expected from Vivek, and I basically predicted that all of this would happen literally yesterday, right? Right before this happened, I was like, yeah, I think that this is going to happen, right? Because I think Vivek is actually going to overperform in Iowa, and then Vivek will be seen as a threat, and then Trump will attack him because Trump attacks anybody that he sees as a threat. Very obvious that this will happen, so I'm going to talk about it, right? And I'm going to talk about it from the perspective of political strategy. And more specifically, I'm going to talk about it from the perspective of if I was a Trump campaign advisor, what I would tell Trump to do, because quite honestly, I don't want to see Trump go to jail, okay? And I do want to see him become president of the United States again, okay? But I'm afraid that Trump attacking Vivek is actually going to backfire on him because it does appear that this is friendly fire, okay? Because regardless of whether or not you think that what Vivek is doing is a cheap campaign trick, it doesn't really make sense for Trump to attack him for it because there's not really that much for Trump to gain, and there's actually a lot for Trump to lose, considering how Vivek has positioned himself as the future of MAGA or the America First movement in regards to his ability to articulate and to promote policies that a lot of people in the movement agree with, okay? And to a certain extent, from an articulation perspective, he has taken it to a whole new level that we've never seen before, okay? And that is something that Trump should really be wary of. And again, I'm saying this from the perspective of I hope Trump sees my video and somebody gives him some actual good advice in regards to handling this situation, because every nail doesn't necessarily need a hammer, okay? And you don't have to handle it in the way that Trump is handling it, because ultimately it can backfire. And I'll tell you guys why I think that this possibly can backfire. And I don't think that Trump should keep attacking Vivek no matter what happens, because I don't think that Vivek is a real threat to Trump. But I'll tell you guys exactly why I think that. And I'll go back to my tweet that I put out yesterday before all this happened, because I predicted it will happen. Somebody in my comment section responded, said, I hope you're wrong. They're fighting the same fight. I said, I hope I'm wrong as well, too. As in, I hope that Trump doesn't attack Vivek, and I hope Vivek doesn't attack Trump. If Vivek overperforms and Trump refuses to attack him, that could be a good indication of Vivek being the VP pick. Well, Trump saying that Vivek is not MAGA will make it hard to see Vivek being the VP pick now in the future. But hey, who knows? I mean, Trump and Ted Cruz had a hardcore beef during the GOP primary in 2015, 2016. And, you know, apparently they're best friends now, right? Apparently politically that is. So who knows? However, if Trump starts to attack, that's when things get messy. And then somebody said, I doubt it, Greg. They have a good relationship. My hope is Trump is the establishment distraction and backs out before the general to give Vivek a landslide, and the establishment is playing catch up, chess, not checkers. Okay, so this guy said, I doubt that Trump will attack Vivek. And I responded to that. I said, Trump had a, quote, good relationship with DeSantis, but attacked him when he knew DeSantis would run, which is true. Okay, Trump started attacking DeSantis when Trump knew that DeSantis would run for president. Okay, unlike DeSantis, Vivek is smart enough to know not to attack Trump, which could create a very bad optic situation for Trump if he chooses to attack Vivek. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, the reality is that Trump polled at his lowest in the GOP primary when he was launching one-way attacks at DeSantis, and DeSantis wasn't responding. And the reason why Trump was polling so low is because people were like, why the hell is Trump attacking DeSantis? DeSantis is an ally of Trump, okay? And a lot of people basically were like, oh, you know what? I don't necessarily know about Trump. Trump is attacking people that is on his team. Like, it's just not a good look, okay? And it actually really did make Trump look bad, and he actually did lose some support, right? This was the time before the indictments. This was when Trump was not getting as much attention from the mainstream liberal media as he's getting now. He attacked DeSantis because he knew that DeSantis would run, and people didn't like it because DeSantis wasn't responding, right? DeSantis looked like a victim, and Trump looked like a bully, right? It just wasn't a good look for Trump, okay? However, the mistake that DeSantis made is that he listened to his campaign advisors and mainstream liberal media and started attacking Trump, which essentially made it so Trump's attacks against DeSantis was now justified. Now, all of a sudden, it was fair game, open season. Trump attacking DeSantis, it didn't have the same effect in regards to people seeing Trump as the aggressor in the situation as it did before, because DeSantis was attacking back. And a lot of people said, well, hey, Trump was attacking DeSantis for a reason, because he knew that, you know, DeSantis would do this, right? That's how it works. That's how politics works, okay? Now, again, like I said, Vivek is smart enough to know that attacking Trump doesn't work. Attacking Trump never works, okay? It literally never works. So you don't gain anything by attacking Trump. Actually, Vivek gains, okay, by essentially giving a response that he gave, which is that, hey, I'm a team player. I'm on the same team, and I'm pro-America first. I'm just saying that if Trump is removed from the race, that I'm the guy that will be willing to pardon him, which, I mean, he kind of has a point in the sense that is Nikki Haley or Ron DeSantis going to pardon Trump, right? Does anybody really believe that? Okay, if Trump is actually pulled out of the race for whatever reason, or they basically make it so it's impossible for Trump to win, then, again, you're going to need a number two, right? You're going to need a number two guy, because if Trump doesn't win, he's going to go to jail, okay? Whether that be Trump being the nominee, the GOP nominee in 2024, and then losing to Biden, okay, and let's say he gets convicted on one of these charges, they put him in jail, okay, well, now we got 2028. Who's going to run in 2028 that is going to pardon Trump and get him out of jail, right? this is why I don't think that the attack from Trump is smart. And I'm saying this from the perspective of wanting to see Trump win and not wanting Trump to go to jail, right? I don't think that Trump gains anything by attacking Vivek. Will Vivek peel off some support from Trump? Yes, okay, but it's not going to be enough for Trump to actually lose, okay? And the reality is that there hasn't been a vote casted yet, okay? So if you're going to launch this attack against Vivek because you think he's a threat, probably should have waited until after the Iowa caucus to see if Vivek is actually really a threat, and then think wisely about, okay, how do I deal with this situation of Vivek? Do I offer him a VP spot? Do I just go ahead and attack him? What do I do, right? Do I say that, hey, I understand that Vivek is saying that, he's going to save me, but, I don't need saving. Vivek is America first, but right now, we need to win, okay, in 2024, okay, and then we can move forward. Like, there's ways to get around this, right, without creating this division that could possibly hurt Trump, not just in the primary, but also in the general election, more so than the primary, because let's keep it real. The beef between DeSantis supporters and Trump supporters has been a blood beef, right? There are DeSantis supporters that have come out and said, I'm not going to support Trump no matter what in the general election. So there's some people that may decide that, I'm just not going to vote for Trump in the DeSantis camp. And if the beef between Vivek supporters and Trump supporters goes the same way that the beef between Trump supporters and Ron DeSantis supporters go, then Trump could risk losing Vivek supporters as well, too. And I don't think that Trump really should be risking losing any supporters who are going to vote for him in the general election, because he is a little threatened by Vivek before a vote is even cast, right? And again, I'm saying this from the perspective of wanting Trump to win, right? I'm saying this from the perspective of not wanting Trump to go to prison. I'm saying this from the perspective of what I think is the best strategy for Trump, okay? I understand why he attacked Vivek. I get it. But to me, it doesn't make sense politically, considering how the guy basically is positioning himself as an ally. And now you're going to get in a situation where if Trump continues to attack Vivek, then it's going to get super awkward because Vivek is not going to attack back. And that's going to create very bad optics for Trump that I really don't want to happen to him. I really don't. Okay. So if I was Trump's campaign advisors, I would say, just ignore Vivek, right? Ignore Vivek or try some other strategy in order to resolve this situation. Okay. Because let's keep it 100. People can say that, well, if Vivek really supports Trump, he should drop out. But if he drops out, then who's going to be in the race that is going to be the contingent plan just in case they pull Trump out of the race? So it's not just as simple as saying, well, Vivek needs to drop out and throw all his support behind Trump. Because again, if Trump is pulled out of the race for whatever reason, which a lot of people expect, then again, who's gonna be there as the contingency plan? So it's a complicated situation. And again, I wish Trump wouldn't see every situation as a nail and hammer situation. That's not what this is. Maybe you can finesse it, right? Maybe you can, have some diplomacy here, okay, and try to resolve the situation in a way that won't cause division within the movement. But, that's not the way that Trump typically handles these types of things, and here we are. So with that being said, I really hope that Trump pulls back on attacks against Vivek, because Vivek is going to be smart enough, unlike DeSantis, to not attack back, and that's going to create a super awkward situation for Trump. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.